this team is going to be probably a lot worse than they have been recently. But it's like you guys said. I think Columbus is going to be really hard to beat out for the first overall pick. I just think it's Johnny Gaudreau wanted to go play hockey and win somewhere. I guess it's not in Columbus, but yeah, I mean, he's going to win something, potentially the first overall pick with the way they're playing. But yeah, I mean, this was a crucial thing. Fans hate it. I have people that are giving me about my Chikrin article saying that he doesn't want to be moved. They shouldn't move him. I don't understand why we're doing this rebuild. And unless you want to be the Coyotes be in purgatory for the next 10 years, this is the only way to get out of it, is to truly embrace just losing and
Yep.
being terrible for the future to be bright and all that. So I say bring the rebuild on. I think next year is going to be a little bit more of a joyous year for Coyotes fans. We're going to be a little bit more into competing than we are going to be on a tanking losing method. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the future of this team. I think this is necessary in the process we're going. But I know not everybody sees it that way. But, if you want to see a Stanley Cup in Arizona in like 2027, 2028, you got to lose now to set yourself up for that down the line.
And also, those other opinions would be wrong because straight up, I've been a fan of this team since 2006, 2007.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure everyone in this room knows just how bad they were that year, and it
Yep.
wasn't even a year they were trying to be bad. They were managed terribly. They've been consistently managed terribly. They had the 2010 through 2012 where some of those picks that in that rebuild did work out. Your Hansels, your Bodkers, but it was just a few guys that worked out, and guys like Mueller, Turris didn't end up working out here. Bunch of other guys that ended up getting traded out, moving on from whatever, and then get a couple good years. Then a lot of mediocrity, going back to bad. They tried to rush out of that rebuild a little too early, and as exciting as it was to get Kessel, get Taylor Hall at the time, as exciting as it was even in the playoffs, they weren't going to be a cup level team. And I hate that I have to, that, but they just weren't. Maybe a second round team. Maybe you can be happy with that. We don't really have success here, so that would be a success. But I want a cup. And everyone at this point, if you are still saying the rebuild isn't necessary, I'm going to be blunt. Quite frankly, you don't know anything about hockey because they already tore it down last year, and the only remainders of that core are Chikrin, who's already publicly requested a trade before the season started, already made those public comments. As soon as that was said, the relationship's over. Like, it is set in stone. Keller, Schmaltz, and Krause. Other than that, everyone else is new. Everyone else is guys that they were starting to draft up, or role players like, Christian Fischer, guys like that. At this point, if you want to play we shouldn't be rebuilding game, you want mediocrity, because then let's just say this offseason they have all this cap space. Let's just say they get 3 of the top 10 free agents because they can outbid because of the cap space. Let's just put it out there. They do it. Get all these great players. They're still
Dylan Larkin, Bo Horvat,
Bo Scorvat, someone else, but they'd still be a wild card team.
Yeah,
barely. It may be a solid wild card team, a wild card number one. You are rushed your rebuild, and guess what? Now you're not going to win your cups.
Especially if you sell off Chikrin. I think if you lose that piece in the back end, like, you don't have, like, as much as I like Moser, he's still very much underdeveloped. Like, he still needs to develop. He is not a all-star caliber defenseman yet. Whereas I do think that Chikrin is starting to approach that level of all-star, and if you don't have any of those pieces, like, you need to have an unreal top 6. It can be done. Like, we look at the first cup that the Pittsburgh Penguins won when they lost Letang on the back end, and you looked at that back end, you're like, who are these guys? Like, these are a bunch of nobodies, and they got it done. And it can be done, but you have to have, like, game-changing, altering talent in the front end. Yeah,
in your top 6, which we don't have.
Well, even arguably that first cup, Phil Kessel should have absolutely won the Conn Smythe, but he got snuffed by Crosby. Like, and that was another guy who had an unreal playoff. So there had to be a bunch of game changers in the front end, and we definitely don't have that. We don't have, a game changer in the back end if Chikrin goes. So, like, pump the brakes, some Coyotes fans, on the excitement for next year. I do see the excitement. They want to see the winning, but I don't expect them to be anywhere close to the playoffs. I think that they're going to maybe hit like 10th from the bottom, but I don't see them being anywhere close to a wild card spot.